Hey everybody, welcome back to APM Help Academy. Today we're going to be talking about owner distributions. Definitely a very important part of using a property management software. So I'm going to give you all of my little tips on what to do when paying owner distributions and kind of how it works. So just to start here, if I want to pay rent owners, and how I got here, by the way, is I clicked on rentals right here and then click on rental owners. And once you get to this page here, I can click on owner draw up here. And it will have two options on your screen if you have ePay enabled on your bank account, which I recommend you do. ePay is a great service. So it will say owner draw by EFT or owner draw by check. You would use the check option if you're paying people by other means other than EFT, and you just need Buildium to calculate the distribution for you, and you're going to record them. So you might pay the owners by check, actually, or a different electronic method of some sort. That's when you would use the owner draw by check option. Okay, but for most people, you're going to use owner draw by EFT. All right. So before I even touch on that, though, and go through that, one of the first things you're going to want to do for sure before paying owners is collecting management fees. Now, if you're an owner operator, depending on how you're structured, you might not do this. So this might not apply to people who are owner operators. It all depends. Okay. So how we're going to collect management fees in Buildium, my favorite way to do it is to click on shortcuts here and then click on collect management fees. And by the way, the shortcuts tool can be used to do owner draw too. You'll see shortcuts and there'll be an option to do owner draw by EFT or by check. So that's another way you can get there too. Just a heads up. All right, so I get to the collect management fees page here, and just keep in mind, this is a manual process, okay? Just because I collect management fees in Buildium, it doesn't mean it's gonna move the money for me in the real world. I actually have to move the funds, okay? The billing period here, this is very, very important. This is going to cover the timeline of when you want to collect management fees. In other words, cover all the income during that time period. All right. So for this example, I'm just going to cover one property as if I manage only one property, just to make it super simple. But it's going to work the same way if you manage dozens of doors or hundreds, however many you manage. Okay. So I'm going to do, let's just say I'm running an accounting cycle for West Franklin Street. I personally like to do my management fees or my accounting cycles the day after I paid someone up until the next time I pay them. Okay, so if I paid people last time on the 10th of the month in January, I'll run my accounting cycle from January 11th all the way to February 10th. And this is assuming I collected the management fees on January 10th, but this is a rough example. If you're a person who runs their accounting cycle on a full month basis, you can just use the full month period. But just for this example, I'm going to do this. And you would typically run it for all your properties. But again, I'll just, for this one example, I'm going to show just this one property. And if I had my percentages set up, so for this one here, the income showed, the income showed for this property on the 13th. So it's not going to cover it. I actually have to extend this to the 13th. So that way. Oh, I see. This is under opening balance equity. Never mind. It's not going to cover the income. So that's just equity. That's why it's not covering it. Buildium's only going to collect percentages off of income, of course. So typically I would say 8% of $800 here. But this is where we can collect management fees, right? And I would select the property here, and whatever amount it says it's calculating, that's what it's going to want to collect for me. So just to give you a rough example, if I selected all the properties I manage, and this is what I'd recommend, is just doing all your properties at once. You would go ahead and collect the management fees across all your properties in this timeline here. So and it will give you the amounts, and you could just kind of skim through it to make sure it all looks correct. If you're wondering where Buildium pulls the income numbers, though, if you're like, for this, we don't have any income numbers recorded, but if I did see a bunch of income here and something just didn't seem right, keep in mind that Buildium pulls these numbers directly from the income statements. So if I wanted to check on if the income was right for one of my properties, so for example, West Franklin Street, if this said, I don't know, 8% of $800, and I wanted to double check it, just run the income statement for the same exact dates here. 111, to 213, for example, and just look at the income statement. It pulls it directly from this report. So let me see if I can get, because I believe we have some income recorded on this property somewhere. We do right here, $400. So I can use this example really quick here. So if for some reason I wanted to know where it's pulling this from, let's just say I ran my management fees from the full month of July here. July 31st, search. Because the income's recorded, oh, excuse me, the income's recorded in August. That's what it is. August 1st, August 31st. There we go, $400, there it is. And I was curious as to where it's pulling it from. Just run the income statement. That's all you got to do in this case. And on the income statement, it will show the same exact number that it's pulling in that management fee report. Okay. Run this August 31st. This doesn't matter too much. And there it is right there. So just keep in mind that the management fee module is directly connected to the income statement. So if you ever are curious as to why it's pulling a certain amount of income, just check the income statement. That's all you got to do in this case. And you can run it, you can go from there, right? And if you click on this, it will bring you to the general ledger, show you the breakdown of the transactions. You could even run a detailed income statement if you want it broken down transaction by transaction. That's another thing I can do too. That's just a little pro trick here, a tip. It's just a nice thing to know that this whole module is connected to the income statement in Buildium. So income, I'll just run it for the last 90 days. And there's my payment right there, August 3rd. It tells me exactly who it came from and all, some other information that might be helpful. So, so yeah, that's kind of some things to know about the collect management fee tool. And remember, this tool is a whole manual process. So once I hit collect fees, it's going to deduct the owner's cash by that much money. So if I have $400 of income on West Franklin Street and I collect 182, well, whatever is the difference of that is going to be my payment to the owner as of right now. So keep that in mind. This is how we collect the management fees in Buildium. All right. If I hit collect fees, it's going to record a check for $2,978.52 out of this bank account. And in the real world, I can transfer that money to my company. I can print out a check. However you really want to collect it is up to you. But just remember, it's not actually going to move the money. It's simply going to book it in the Buildium world, if you will. Okay? So, first things first, before you pay owners, collect the management fees. We got to deduct the owner's cash and make sure we get paid before the owners get paid. But just to reiterate, if you're an owner-operator and you're not structured in a way that's like such as a third-party fee manager, this wouldn't really apply to you. Okay? So, going back to our owner draw page, okay? So let's just say we collected the management fees, we paid all the bills we needed to pay. We can go ahead and click owner draw, and then, we'll just pretend we're clicking by EFT. And on this page, if you did owner draw by EFT, the only people that are going to show up here are the people who have EFT information under their profile. If you did not put any bank info in their profile, they will not pop up here. However, every owner you have will show up under owner draw by check, okay? So in this case, most people are just going to do all rentals. I like to do these things in bulk because, we love to streamline things, right? And so I wouldn't really do these individually, in my opinion. It's really up to you. I like to do all at once. We click search. It will pop up what everyone's current available cash is and how much you want to pay them right here, amount to pay. If you're wondering what this adjusted cash balance is, it comes directly from this tool up here. I can subtract any pending incoming e-payment. So if a tenant just paid today or yesterday, it's going to show as a pending e-payment, and it would show as available cash. But if I'm a little nervous, right, because it hasn't hit the bank yet, well, I could subtract it from their payout. I typically do this. I don't feel comfortable personally paying someone for money I haven't even gotten yet in the bank. So I like to have this checked off. I mean, that's up to you entirely, but you're kind of playing with fire a little bit in terms of trust account rules if you don't have this checked off, okay? I could also subtract any unpaid bills from their payout too. So if I have a bill sitting under the bills page, that hasn't been paid yet, well, I can still deduct their cash by simply subtracting that unpaid bill. This option can be helpful, but just keep in mind if you do use it, it can sometimes make owner statements a little confusing, because in one cycle they might see they were underpaid, in another cycle, they have an extra expense they're confused about. So just keep that in mind. It can be helpful. I don't typically use this personally that much, but that's how it works. And then the cash available as of this date is directly correlated to the income, or the owner statement here. So if their available cash is $1,200 at the end of 9/12, well, then it's going to show exactly $1,200 for that property as of 9/12. However, I can show you something really quick of how this works. So the available cash for this property is different though. On February 13th, let me backdate this a little bit. The available cash on this property is actually $800 as of February 13th. So watch what happens if I change this to 2/13/2025 right here, and I click apply. West Franklin Street. Here, let me pull this up here, make it easier. Here it is. Okay, notice how if I have the cash balance at now $800 compared to the $1,200 we saw earlier. So just be careful on how you use this available cash as of, because again, you might backdate like maybe a few days or something just to match your accounting cycle of how you do things. Like if you're someone who consistently wants to give people a certain, their money as of a certain date, but you just weren't able to for a few days, you might backdate a little bit sometimes just to be consistent on how you're doing things. But just be really careful, because it can make things confusing for owners if you didn't explain this to them ahead of time on how consistent you are with your accounting cycle dates. So this available cash tool, it's directly correlated to the rent owner statement and how much available cash they have as of this end date right here. Okay, so a lot of people will just use today's date for the most part. But I have seen people who are very consistent with accounting cycles, maybe will backdate a little bit if they're a little behind on what they're trying to do. Okay, so that's how the adjust cash balance thing works. That's a little synopsis of it. And the date option right here is the date we're actually sending out the payment. You won't have the option to select this, of course, if you're doing EFT, but if I was doing check, I could select a different date. So if I was that person who was trying to be consistent with my accounting cycles and I used, I don't know, available cash as of 9/8, well, then I can change the date here to 9/8 as well. That would kind of make more sense rather than using 9/12. Those are kind of conflicting each other, right? If you're not using the same dates. So something to keep in mind there. But yeah, now let's just say I was ready to pay everybody and everything looked good. I would just select my full list. It's going to automatically fill out the amount to pay box with available for payment. And I would kind of just scroll down the list to make sure it kind of all looks correct to my liking here. Something I probably should have mentioned earlier, though, I will say, is I highly recommend you reconcile your books before doing this, okay? It's hard to trust these numbers if I'm not reconciled, right? If I'm fully reconciled to date and I've accounted for every single transaction that's happened, well, it makes me feel a little more comfortable about these numbers, right? If I'm not reconciled, well, we're taking a leap of faith that everything's on point, okay? So if I'm all set, let's say, and everything looks good, I'm ready to pay my owners, I would click down here, prepare payment. It gives me a final total of what this all equals combined with what I'm paying everybody all together, what's going to come out of my bank account, right? And the bank account option, for the most part, you're never going to really change this. You're just going to use the property's operating bank account. It's kind of rare that you would use this option, pay from a specific account. There might be a unique situation on why you're doing that, but for the most part, you're almost never going to do that. You're just going to leave it as this. And then if you were to click confirm payment with EFT, it would go ahead and process those funds and it would send it out to people. If you're using the check option, it's obviously not going to send a payment in the real world. You would just click confirm payment and you would use Buildium to help you send out all those payments to the owners. It would just, you would just copy those calculations it's giving you. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it on how to pay owners. That's a little bit about the process there. Now, sending statements is something we should talk about. So I personally like to send statements before I pay people. I have seen people send out statements afterwards. It's entirely up to you. But how you do statements in Buildium is a little odd, I will admit, because it's coming from the mailings area, and some people get confused by that because you think, well, I'm not trying to send a mailing, but you do want to do it from here. This is the only way to send statements in bulk to owners in Buildium. If you do it from the reports page, what happens is if I try to send out, if I ran all the statements together, the rent owner statement, and I sent out an email to everybody, everybody would get everyone's statement. So don't do this. You definitely don't want to do that. And if you do go through here, you would have to send the statements one by one, and that would be kind of difficult. So what we want to do to send out rent owner statements in bulk is we go to communication, mailings. That brings us here, okay? And once we're on this page, we're going to click on create a mailing, rental owners, and then the template we're going to use is rent owner statement. The period, start date, and end date's very important. Now, I like to typically match this to my consistent accounting cycle or the exact dates that I'm using for, the day after I sent them a payment last time up until the day I sent them another payment. So, going back to my example, if I sent out a payment on January 10th and now I'm sending out a payment on February 10th, I would do 11th to the 10th, just like that. Okay. It makes for a much easier reading for the owners. I would not send a full month statement unless you're actually a person who does a full month accounting cycle. Okay. So the contents we can include their income statement, which I do recommend. If you want to send transaction details, which list the transactions one by one, that's entirely up to you. We can include that as well. It will ask you if you want to display them by date or additions and subtractions. I got used to this because there was a time that Buildium didn't have this here, but I this is a good option too if you're trying to just do it by date. It can be easier to read sometimes if you're not trying to separate out additions by themselves and then subtractions by themselves. So that's entirely up to you. The message, so the message part here, this is not your email to them. Keep in mind, this is just a message that's going to show on the paper document, like the PDF in the top corner. So you might put something like, I don't know, February accounting cycle, something like that. Okay. Something brief, or please see February accounting cycle. I don't know, something like that. Whatever you want to put in the PDF document itself, it's going to show somewhere in the top of the page of the PDF. And then I go ahead and add all my owners. Now, keep in mind, even though you might have an email address on file for them, you do need a mailing address. I know this is not really a mailing we're doing, but you still need to put a mailing address. Otherwise, it's not going to let you select the person. All right. So I'll just select everybody here. And then it defaults to account sender. Here's our information. You could change this stuff, by the way. It's not like you can't change that. Okay. All right. And it's going to ask you if you want to do an easy mail. By the way, you would see an easy mail checkbox. We're not going to check that, obviously. The easy mail service is Buildium's service to send out mailings for you, but we're not doing a mailing, so you would not check that box, okay? We're going to click create. That's going to generate our mailing. And you're about to see how this is connected to emailing the owners their statements in bulk in a second. Because this is generating. If it doesn't generate for you fairly quickly and you've been waiting a little bit more than a few minutes, you probably want to refresh your page. Just a heads up. So for me, I'm going to try to refresh now. It might just populate it for me right now. And there it did. Yep. So you would see the options for your mailing to print it on your, in your office if you want to mail it yourself. Email, that's the option we're using. And then you would see the easy mail option if you want to use Buildium's mailing service. So we click on email PDF, okay? And this is just telling me it's an invalid email, but that's okay for this example. But now it pops up this. And we can choose, who it's from. Keep in mind the from address, they won't actually see your email address. It's going to default to mail@managebuilding.com when they receive the email. But if they do reply to it, it will go back to the email you used here. So if I use my work email, right, to send this out and it shows up as mail@managebuilding.com for them, if they reply to it, I will get it in my email. So something to keep in mind there. It shows the people that I selected in my mailing. The subject, this would be pretty straightforward, right? February, February payouts, or February, statement dash payout, something like that. If you have a template already you can go ahead and select that template. Maybe it helps you out. Send a little email, hello, see statement attached. If you have any questions, let me know. Best APM Help Property Management, something like that. And everybody's going to get the same email, and everyone will get their own statement. They're not going to receive anybody else's. Okay. It defaults to the rent owner statement PDF right here. If I click send, everybody gets their own statement. And that's it. That's how we can send out rent owner statements in bulk. All right. So that's a little breakdown of that. It's pretty straightforward and easy to do, even though it's from the mailings page, and that might, that might be a little confusing at first, but it works really nicely in Buildium. Really good feature to use in here. So the other communication thing I wanted to mention, as soon as you send a payment by EFT to an owner, if you have an email on file for them, they will get an email automatically from Buildium. And if you want to see what that looks like, you just go to communication, automated email settings, recipient types, rental owners, and it is, sorry, there's a big list. Okay, here it is, online rent owner payment confirmation. Now, if I have this checked off, it won't give them transaction details. This is what the email looks like. If I turn this on, right, it gives the details of the property, the amount. It just gives a little more information. So it's up to you if you want to check this on or off. But that's the only thing you can change about this email. You can't change anything else about it since it's a certain type of automated one. So yep, that's just a little preview of what that email looks like when you send them a payment by EFT. All right. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much a lot of good information you should know about paying owners in Buildium. The owner distribution feature is really nice. It makes streamlining much easier and scaling a lot easier, so you can do things in bulk, with quickness and ease. All right. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and feel free to reach out to us at apmhelp.com or info@apmhelp.com, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching, guys.